HVAC system, how does the tool account, I mean, every well different, right? You can put a program into a rotary steerable spine, you can build certain things. How does the tool account for changes in formation, lithology, if any, things like that? Awesome.
So this is based off of whoever system you're using, but it takes measurements all the time. The NWD, let's talk a little bit more about NWD. An NWD reads, does anybody know what it reads? A couple of the readings, major readings.
Yep.
Associated with surveys.
Gamma ray?
Okay, gamma ray is one of the readings it does take, but on a survey, what do we get from an NWD? Back to that.
Azimuth and inclination.
Yeah. So we have no idea what this bid and motor are doing until we can get a tool down there. Let's go off inclination and azimuth. Let's talk about the BHA assembly. So you have an NWD motor. Excuse the drawing, but anyways, the bit. This NWD has a sensor here. This is your ink sensor. And as, and generally they put gamma closer. Why? Because they want to see the lithology change before the gamma survey. The rotary steerable system calculates this data. It has an inclination and azimuth sensor 6 feet away from the bit. 6 feet. Is that an advantage versus the 40 to 70 feet we're here? Is that an advantage? Yeah, we got data now. Our view glasses are now 6 feet behind the bit instead of 40 to 70 feet, which means our gut is now much greater because we know what's going on. Initially, right now, we don't have to drill a whole stand down to find out what happened. We can, there's no way we'll be able to tell this stuff with the conventional assembly, what happened between here until we go and survey. There's no way. So, back to the curve, say that we're losing build rates, right? We got a survey, we need 10, we just got a 7. 70% we need. We keep doing that, we're in big trouble. Okay, the decision was made to pull out of the hole because we need something stronger. You still could have 40 to 70 feet ahead of you of bad dogleg severities or lower dogleg severities. So how do you counter that? A directional driller, a good directional driller is going to project ahead at every survey, and they're going to project ahead what they think, what they don't want, and what would be the best case scenario. Every survey. These are, you guys can see these course length, how these are certain course lengths. We usually get 95 feet and the curve is 30 feet. So as you're sitting there drilling, we lost our build rates. We need to project ahead to see how bad this is. Now we use our field experience, and we had, when we got in the hole, we had a 1.8 degree bend, which is awesome. My favorite. Now we need a bigger or smaller one to get higher build rates. Bigger, right? So we go to a 2.38. That bend can be adjustable. They have housings that they adjust, or it can be fixed. This we'll get as a fixed. We want less flex in this thing. We want as rigid as possible. We also might put on the front of this thing a tricone bit. Because of earlier, why is the tricone bit good? Better tool faces. The front of the bit, the torque is transmitted on bearings, so it's less reactive. We can hold this tool face much better with the tricone bit. So we have a bigger bend, a better bit design for what we're trying to do. Now, instead of getting 7s, you might be getting 20s. 24s. What's the highest dog leg you see?
Well, realistically, maybe like a 16 before we had the cement. Do you see 16 on sinking casing? So it doesn't matter what the drill thing can do. It matters what you can casing.
Sure.
So you get a 16, 18, okay, you can live with it, but if you can't get casing and you spend 4 or 5 days, 8 days, ream it out or plug it back.
I was drilling a curve, they give you tops, right? We came in, the the best I could do was 1 foot above the lower ship. 1 foot. I was praying to Jesus that morning that I did not see a drop in ROP and a drop in differential while we're trying to land this thing. Because if I lost all that, obviously I'd curse the ship. So the lithology, your ability to understand what your tools can do and produce, we threw 20s at the bottom of this thing. It did get cased in the bottom. We had a motor in at, I think it was a 2.7 when we did not rotate. So what happens, we land this thing 1 foot, and you guys get cluttered. We land this thing 1 foot low. Completions wants to be in the top 10 feet of this thing, and we have a motor in the hole that we can't rotate. So we throw more tortuosity back up to it. Is that a good idea? Putting more tortuosity in front of already inherent tortuosity. How's that lateral going to be? Our future glasses are huge right here because we have to go 10,000 feet. Tripped out of the hole, grabbed a 1.5 bend motor, reamed out this entire section, gradually shifted it up and pitched it over just slightly, the best we could have done. And tripped out of the hole and ran casing, successfully ran casing. You guys are going to have these calls. You guys are going to have these calls from the directional driller saying, hey man, we're not getting it. When do you guys think it's time to trip out of the hole? It's a question you ask yourself. You ask your field personnel. You ask your company man. You make an introduction to them. You go out to the field. You talk to them. You get their gut. Do they have a good gut feeling of what this BHAs can do? Do they understand the complexities of the wellbore in front of them? We've had company men set surface casing, or he drilled his surface casing right into the one right next to him because he didn't understand how. One was pointed at 180, and he drilled right into it. He tried to cover it up too. So, somebody calls you, and they say, hey man, we just lost a crap load of mud, we got things going bad, what are you going to say? Where are you at? Is it lithology based? Do you know where they're at? Even better, are you on location? Can you assess this problem with them? I just got a call from my rigger. They texted me. They lost 3,400 barrels in formation. I think 7 up from that. 3,400 barrels of mud. I know gas is pretty cheap, but that's still a nice price tag. 3,400 barrels gone. Did they drill into another well? No, it was lithology. They understood that. But if you did that on surface, do you know what's happening? And do you know what area you're in? So, we're blind. We're blind. For 40 to 70 feet. What's the mother of invention? Necessity. Necessity is the mother of invention. People have missed these curves. $250,000 mistake. $250,000. I'll tell you this thing, I never left the rig floor on the curve. If it took 48 hours, it took 48 hours. If we tripped out of the hole, that was my time to sleep. This is why I'm out there. And we all know that we are all not created equally, whatever. So some people's guts may be bad. Some people's experience may be low. How do we start reducing variables in these situations? We've introduced rotary steerable systems. Now we're 6 feet away. We know what's happening in that bit. 6 feet behind it. Awesome. These things, I went out to Pennsylvania. They sent me out there. They, hey, go learn this new tool. The guy, the directional driller, was very upset. He was 1 foot off the line. 1 foot. I landed a curve 100 feet off the line. It's what we have. This guy is furious that he's a foot off the line. In the scope of directional drilling, that's awesome. These are laser guided missiles. And they're only getting better. How are we doing? Pretty close. Questions? basic questions. Let's do basics. Anybody have any basic questions? You guys understand ramps? No? Okay. So the pipe is, we've gone from rotary to. Yeah. Equal to opposite reaction. We want this, we've aligned this where it's at. We want to hold it there. That's why we put ramps there, because differential pressure, when this bit seats on formation, it's going to push itself that way. We want to put ramps back in it to hold it up. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Does ramps make sense? Do you guys understand squat? Squat? Okay. So we have, let's quickly go over this. This and lateral drag. I just want to look up. 40,000 pounds. We're pushing on pipe for 40,000 pounds. We'll go in the lateral. It's 4-inch drill pipe. The way I do squat, your first 40,000 pounds, or excuse me, your first, 10,000 pounds is 2 feet. Then the next 10,000 pounds after that is 1 foot, and that continues on forever. That is the best estimate, and these are how we run things out in the field. We need an answer now. How much squat do I have? So when we were drilling this curve, we had inherent pipe squat in there. It was already buckled in there. That's when we want to go to an equilibrium as fast as possible. So we acknowledge squat. I've had 140,000 pounds on a bit before. Can somebody tell me how much squat that is? How many feet? This is feet. So the first 10,000 is 2 feet, right? So we're down to 130 pounds after that. 15 feet of squat. The driller picks up off bottom 10 feet. Are you off bottom? What have you accomplished? We have a kick, and we still have squat in our pipe. This is huge. You have to know how much bend is in that pipe to get off bottom, to get yourself positioned, to close your POP in, and handle that situation. I can't tell you how many times drillers, when we pressure up, say that we're drilling ahead, we're pushing really hard on this thing's broke down. The motor's not as efficient as it used to be. So many times drillers will pick up 5-10 feet. We're still on bottom. We're still rooting that system. It's still trying to work. Okay, last piece. Go ahead, Scott.
Could you give a basic definition of squat? Like what would I put on a quiz or something?
Helical buckling is sinusoidal buckling.
Okay, cool.
In the pipe. It's all it is.
Okay.
And there's a rough estimate. That is not set derivative order calculation. It's a rough estimate. The last piece. Okay. So for us, just like that, in the same. Say we had this, right? Fish hooked it, we landed out, we did it just fine. Boom. We're 9,500 feet in the lateral. We're 19,500 feet. Back to the same story. We've aligned our tool face. We're now drilling with 70,000 pounds weight on bit. 70,000 pounds. And our differentials, say 1,000. The weight is so high because we have so much drag. It can take, back to a slide. We need 10, this mortar assembly throws 10 degrees per 100. It can take, to get a 10-foot slide, which would be 1 degree. You're getting 10 degrees per 100, and you throw in a 10-foot slide. That 10-foot slide can take 4 hours, which in the vertical, we can drill at 1,200 feet an hour or faster. That slide takes 30 seconds. This can take 4 hours. Why does it take so long? Because you have to pull and stretch the pipe and get all of that torque out of there. When these drillers, when they get done drilling a span, we usually take the rotary off and we pull that pipe 100 feet back down and up. So we have 100 feet out of 20,000 feet of pipe that we're trying to get all of that torque back out of there so we can get back to, I just told my 9-hand that we're at 1.5 racks with 1,000 differential pressure. We need all of that torque out of that pipe to get that slide out. It is extremely difficult to get those done. And your patience will be tested.